Did your view of J.D. Vance change at all after you did the interview with him?
Did what?
Your views and your opinion of J.D.
This is where the Democratic Party is going.
Yep.
Where this democratic socialist, this obsession with Israel, with the Jew hating, they don't believe in capitalism, no prisons. If this is where they're going,
That's where it's going.
My vote is in play. Under Trump, you guys have two outcomes that an election can be. Either we win or they cheated. That shit has to stop.
And the biggest criticism I had of the 2020 election is that you had technology companies that were quite literally censoring negative information about the left and promoting negative information about the right.
You are not going to believe what happened this week. The same man who voted for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden has now spoken a truth that is giving the left a massive headache. Bill Maher, known for his sharp criticism, admitted during his latest episode with J.D. Vance that he could support J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio if the Democratic Party keeps moving further towards socialism. And the craziest part is that he is now dismantling the left's agenda piece by piece. Trust me, you do not want to miss this video. Watch until the end and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Scan this QR code to support our team and help us create even better content.
What?
Immigration. Not immigration. We like it that you closed the border. That needed to be done. The people who were here.
Be nice.
The way you treated, I'm talking about your administration.
Okay.
You weren't out there yourself. But ICE, all that shit. Too rough, too mean, too unnecessary. I think you go, I'm not telling you what to do.
Sorry,
okay, I'm just giving you some advice as a friend.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, I'm not asking you to apologize if I don't like when people do that. I'm just saying you go a long way toward getting people who are just completely shut the door to you and your administration if you would just own that you guys went too far. You went too far, and you should own it like you did childless cat ladies.
You cannot do any deportations without law enforcement, and you can't do a law enforcement operation like that without having some situations that don't look good when they're recorded like that. I mean, let me give you like just one obvious example. Let's just set aside the immigration element of this, okay? If you take a guy who's committed murder and you go in and arrest that guy, sometimes that person's going to resist arrest. Yeah. Sometimes if you take a video of it and it's out of context and you don't appreciate why that person is being arrested in the first place, it looks pretty icky if you take that out of context video clip. And what I worry about is when people say you can't ever do immigration enforcement if it produces a bad video clip, what they're really saying is you can't ever actually do immigration enforcement. We had 12 million people come into the country, into the interior over the last 4 years, or I should say from 2021 to 2025. And we were elected with a mandate to get some of those people out of the United States of America. You can't do that easily.
There's a middle ground. See, the other thing that bothers us about stuff like that is that nothing ever lands in the middle, which is what I'm always trying to get people to do.
I thought you were crazy. You were probably shocked to hear that, because it is not often you hear someone on the left say that closing the border was the right decision. And I have to give Bill Maher credit for saying it. At the same time, I also believe people should be treated with basic human dignity, even if they entered the country illegally. That is simply the moral standard we should all have. But what is crazy is how the left tries to turn this into a completely different narrative by cutting clips out of context and only showing the moments that fit their agenda. I will get back to J.D. Vance in a moment, but first, watch this clip where Democrats themselves talk about immigrants pursuing the American dream.
California lawmakers just passed a law, it hasn't been signed by Governor Newsom, but giving government assistance to undocumented immigrants to buy houses. That's kind of a different place than the Democratic Party used to be on immigration, is it not? I'm not going to say that's what the country is going to do, but that's certainly where California is.
Well, let me just say, immigration had always been a bipartisan issue. I refer you to
But not free houses.
Well, that's not free housing. It's the American dream being available to more people. But understand this about immigration. The best speech on immigration was by President Ronald Reagan. This is the last speech I will make as President of the United States. I want to communicate a message to the country I love. And he talked about the Statue of Liberty and the beacon of hope it is to the world, and what America was preeminent in the world because our door was always open, and we will cease to be preeminent when we shut the door. Now, I don't do justice to the great communicator. Google it. It's a fabulous speech. And George Herbert Walker Bush continued in that respect for the diversity of America and the rest. California's always in the lead. Maybe others will follow that lead, but that's up to those states. But we are very blessed here with beautiful diversity.
So you'd vote for this law?
Excuse me?
So you'd vote for this law?
Well, I'm not familiar with exactly what it is, but making the American dream of home ownership available to all people is something we have to do for people who are here now.
This is before you're a citizen. This is undocumented. This is for the undocumented.
Well, what I would like to do is move them to documented. The fact that we can move them to documented. One of the best things that we can do for our economy is to pass comprehensive immigration reform.
And for me, it is crazy that immigration has now become the #1 issue in American politics. At the same time, it is not surprising because it directly affects border security, public services, and the economy. Many critics argue that the border policies during the Biden administration were intentional and designed to allow a large number of illegal immigrants into the country. Supporters of those policies disagree and argue they were responding to humanitarian and legal challenges. No matter where you stand, the issue has become one of the biggest political battles in America today. And here is another issue the left keeps pushing, even though they know exactly why so many people are concerned.
Their program isn't destroyed. The nuclear program isn't destroyed. I mean, I don't know any of our objectives. And look, I said
what part is not destroyed?
Well, we didn't get in there. The whole thing was we have to get in there and see. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this.
Well, let me say,
we didn't.
First of all, so a nuclear program, and I'm hardly a nuclear scientist, I'm a lowly politician, but the thing that you have to destroy is their ability to enrich uranium, which has been destroyed. You have to destroy their ability. Well, because you need functioning centrifuges that can actually spin.
We got to get in there and we got to get the dust.
Okay,
and we didn't get in there, so how do we get the dust?
So that's actually a separate question. So there's the highly enriched stockpile, which, by the way, was allowed to accumulate over 20 years of previous administrations. That enriched stockpile is something that we want to get. But, Bill, if we never get it, and the president wants it, and we are going to get it. But if we never got it, it's buried deep underground, and they don't have the ability to turn it into a nuclear weapon. So the program is functionally destroyed. We're just talking about, can we set them back even further through these negotiations?
That is actually a good way to sum up the issue. We already spend a massive amount of money on national defense, and I have always believed that fewer countries having nuclear weapons is a better outcome for everyone. At the same time, I do not understand why some people are trying to make this entirely about Trump, when many of these policies and military actions have roots going back to previous administrations, including George W. Bush. But despite all of that, the left continues to focus on issues that, in my opinion, are not the biggest challenges facing the country, while many of the more serious problems receive far less attention.
The Democratic Party is going. We're this democratic socialist, this obsession with Israel, with the Jew hating, with they don't believe in capitalism, no prisons. If this is where they're going,
it's where it's going.
My vote is in play.
Okay.
And
I like to hear that.
It actually always has been. I just, every year, I don't make my decision by who is an R or a D. I actually always came to the conclusion that the Democrat was probably better.
Sure.
And voted for them.
Okay.
And Trump can't run again, and he'd be a little too exciting for me anyway. So it's either going to be you or Rubio. Here's my deal breaker for your side. Okay. Under Trump, you guys have two outcomes that an election can be. Either we win or they cheated. That shit has to stop. And the person
he just said he's going to vote Republican. Did I hear that right? Did I hear Bill Maher is going to vote Republican?
And that means the person who has to stop it would be you or Marco. Can you tell me you will do that? Will you bring us back to the middle, at least on that, where we concede elections, where it's not either one of those two options?
Okay, Bill, so this is where I'm probably going to lose you here, but here's...
That happened about 8 minutes ago.
All of you to remember, a lot of this started after Bill Maher had dinner at the White House with Donald Trump. Since then, many people have noticed a shift in the way he talks about certain issues. Conservatives who have appeared on his show have challenged him with arguments he has admitted he had not seriously considered before. Instead of engaging with those conversations, many on the left have turned on Bill Maher simply because he was willing to question their narrative. And that tells you just how divided things have been.
I say it every time when the Republicans come here, they take their beating like a man. It's the people I vote for. They're the ones who won't talk to me. Anyway, let's not talk about my problems.
This is so childish, so purely emotional. The people who got all butthurt because I had dinner with them, because he's Hitler. Except he's not. So unhelpful and dumb. Trump is the most supportive president Israel and the Jews ever had. You know, every year I used to ask Larry David to do real time, and he'd always say, Bill, I can't. I'm not smart enough about politics to do your show. Yeah, I get that now. Because there is no argument here. There's just the sugar rush that the no contact people get from never coming in second in a I hate Trump the most contest. Really? That's your strategy, to go full high school and tell the guy with all the power he can't sit with you at the lunch table? To borrow a phrase familiar to HBO viewers, you are not serious people. I mean, what exactly is the argument? That by talking to Trump, I'll elevate him? Oh my God, don't tell me he could become president.
With all of this in mind, this is what many Democrats are now saying and voting for. And what is crazy is that the woke movement has gone so far that some people seem embarrassed to even say they are proud to be Americans. Instead of celebrating the country and working to improve it, they spend more time criticizing it than appreciating the opportunities it provides.
Seriously, this is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia. Globalize the intifada is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problems. At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such, and now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them, you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the shit you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville.
Not just that. Here is another clip of Bill Maher once again calling out the left for chasing extreme ideas every election cycle just to win votes, instead of focusing on the issues that actually matter to everyday Americans. That is exactly what he believes has pushed so many voters away from the Democratic Party.